So let's start out with the problem. Okay, what is the problem in the book of Galatians? Good. Again, our old friends, or enemies, however you want to say, the circumcision faction is back again. That there's some false teaching. Good. I think that is the core of the problem. Now, we can talk a lot about the details of who these people are, and we'll get to that pretty soon. But really, that's the core of the occasion of this writing, is that we've got this thing happening with the circumcision party, and they're teaching, and the Galatians are buying into it. I think the Galatians definitely have some confusion of what is their relationship as New Testament believers, as Christians with the law. What was the law for? Are we supposed to be following it? So I think all these questions of circumcision has kind of ballooned the issue in a bigger way to the Galatians. Is it just circumcision? Because that's just one small aspect of the Old Testament covenant. There's 605 other laws. What are we supposed to do with those? Are we supposed to follow those? How are we supposed to behave? Okay, so what is the solution? What is Paul's main thing that he wants to get across to the Galatians that will defuse this problem? John, okay, what does that mean to you? Live in freedom. Yeah, I think this is his main way to try to diffuse that. That he's got to convince them of the freedom that they have. That they are free from the law now. They're free from having to be circumcised. You know, that's not what their salvation comes from. Where's he going to pound over and over and over again? Salvation comes through what? Faith. Yeah, that is the main contrast. He'll be going back and forth through the book. Really here. The law versus the promise. The law versus faith. Works versus grace. He'll be going back and forth. So this is the main thing that he's trying to get them to realize. Because if they can accept this, then it will refute the false teachers. They'll throw the circumcision party out. They'll realize that they don't need to go back to that again. All right, so I think that's kind of our roadmap. That's where we have to kind of pull back into. How about the atmosphere of the letter? What's the general tone? In other words, when you look at Galatians, remember there's the parts of an epistle. Okay, so we talk about the parts of an epistle, parts of a letter. What are the parts of a New Testament letter that are generally there? What does it start off with? Okay, greeting. So usually you have the author, you have the recipient, and then you have some kind of greeting. What's also sometimes there? Okay, prayer or a thanksgiving. Okay, in Galatians, where's the thanksgiving and prayer at the beginning of the book? It's not there. Okay, that's one of the reasons we look at that. You know, you may think, why are we doing this in the BRI? Why are we noting where the author and recipient and the body of the letter? It's because you'll see things like this. Galatians has no thanksgiving. All right, he just goes right into the problem. Okay, what are some of the verses that you saw that really highlight the atmosphere of the book to you? And the exclamation point is, of course, added. That there's no punctuation marks in the Greek, but I would agree that's a good place for an exclamation point. You foolish Galatians. Okay, you have to read that in your mind. Don't just do your readings and go, you foolish Galatians, who has bewitched you? It was before your... Okay? It's tempting to do that, but one of the things that I like to do when I'm doing at least the New Testament books is do what I call a dramatic reading. I like to read through the book and try to hear Paul's voice. Now, just because of all old Bible movies, Bible characters had British accents, for some reason in my mind, Paul has a British accent, and that's all right, however Paul sounds to you, but feel that emotion. 5:12, how about that? I mean, really, this is in the Bible. Okay? Sometimes we just look at Jesus overturning the money tables in the temple and we say, well, that's just Jesus. Jesus is allowed to have righteous anger because he's God. But this looks like some pretty righteous anger, doesn't it? And by the way, no, that is not the key verse. Okay? I wish those who would cast... I mean, that's some serious atmosphere. That's an emphatic statement. Yeah. If you think you know a Bible verse, just double check it before inserting it into a newsletter. Tip of the day. That's a freebie, by the way. All right. So, yeah, this tells you something. There's no greeting or thanksgiving, really. There's just this constant atmosphere. It shows you how serious this is to Paul. Now, you're going to read 1 Corinthians in a couple of weeks, and you're going to see that the Corinthian church has numerous and extensive problems. All right? You've just got some really bad morality or lack of morality going on in the Corinthian church. And yet, even in the letter to the church of Corinth, there's a thanksgiving at the beginning. And there are some verses where you see Paul's tone coming out, but nothing of this nature. It shows you, like I said, how serious this issue is to Paul. You'll see that Paul really tries to be culturally sensitive. Paul really tries to stick with the core issues. You know, in Corinthians, you say, I was a Jew to the Jew, I was a Greek to the Greeks. When it was possible just to say, hey, what's the core issues? We saw that in Philemon and Ephesians, he doesn't say, hey, don't have slaves. He tries to work within the culture. But on this issue, how we are saved, how the Galatians are saved, there is no room for compromise in Paul. There's only room for statements like, I wish they would castrate themselves. Right? That's how serious he takes it when people start messing with the core of the gospel.